The night descends upon this familiar scene, a beacon of warmth and greasy sustenance. The golden arches, once symbols of comfort and fleeting satisfaction, now flicker ominously against a backdrop of encroaching darkness. A chill wind sweeps across the asphalt, carrying with it the faint scent of frying oil and a silence that speaks volumes. We have all sought solace within these brightly lit walls, havens of convenience in our often hectic lives. But what if I told you that beneath this veneer of familiarity lies a darker truth? What if I told you that I have witnessed firsthand the chilling reality that sometimes the most ordinary places can harbour the most extraordinary secrets? For years I have collected stories, whispers in the dead of night, tales of unsettling encounters and inexplicable phenomena. Stories that will chill you to your core and make you question everything you thought you knew about these ubiquitous temples of fast food. These are the stories of the shadows that lurk behind the golden arches, the stories that McDonald's doesn't want you to know. It was a cold, unforgiving hour, the witching hour as some would call it, 3 a.m. The bustling heart of the restaurant had long since fallen silent. The fryers stood dormant, their greasy breath stilled. The only sound was the faint hum of fluorescent lights, casting an anemic glow upon the vacant tables and chairs. I was finishing up my shift, the last bastion of service in this sea of stillness. It was then that I noticed him, a lone figure hunched over a tray in the far corner booth. His back was to me, his body obscured by the shadows, but I could sense his presence, an almost palpable weight in the stillness. A sense of unease crept over me. It was unusual, to say the least, for someone to be here at this hour. Curiosity, or perhaps a misplaced sense of duty, compelled me to approach. "Excuse me, sir," I called out, my voice echoing unnaturally in the emptiness. "We're about to close up." There was no response. The figure remained motionless, an island of stillness in a sea of unsettling silence. I took a step closer, my apprehension growing with each passing second. "Sir?" I tried again, my voice a little louder, a little more insistent. He slowly turned, as if roused from a deep slumber. The first thing that struck me was his pallor, an almost translucent quality to his skin, as if all warmth and life had been leached from it. His eyes, dark and sunken, stared through me, devoid of any discernible emotion. He opened his mouth, and a raspy whisper, barely audible above the hum of the lights, escaped his lips. "I never left," he breathed, his voice sending a shiver down my spine. The words hung in the air, heavy with an unspoken meaning that I couldn't quite grasp. I must confess, a primal fear, the kind that makes your blood run cold, gripped me in that instant. I averted my gaze for the briefest of moments, just long enough to collect myself, to shake off the unsettling feeling that had enveloped me. But when I looked back, he was gone, vanished. The booth was empty. The tray, the food, all gone, as if he had never existed. A cold sweat prickled my skin. Had I imagined the whole thing? Was the late hour playing tricks on my mind? I rushed to check the security footage, desperate for a rational explanation, for some tangible proof that what I had witnessed was real. The grainy footage showed me walking towards the booth, talking to nothing. Then, at precisely 3:33 a.m., a glitch. The screen flickered, and for a split second I saw it. A ghostly image superimposed over the empty booth. It was me, sitting where the man had been, my posture mirroring his, my face a mask of the same unsettling emptiness. The blood ran cold in my veins. I rewound the footage, played it again and again, each time the result the same. The glitch, the ghostly image, a haunting echo of the man who never left. I haven't been able to shake off the feeling that something is deeply, terribly wrong with this place. It's as if the restaurant itself holds its breath after closing time, as if it knows what lurks within its walls. I wasn't alone in my experience. A co-worker, a seasoned veteran of the late-night shift, confided in me a few days later. He too had seen it, a fleeting shadow in that same booth, always late at night, always gone before he could get a closer look. "It's like he's trapped here," he whispered, his voice heavy with a mixture of fear and pity. Forever caught in some kind of loop, reliving the same moment night after night. To this day, I can't walk past that booth without feeling a shiver crawl down my spine. The memory of that night, the pale skin, the empty eyes, the whisper that seemed to claw its way out of some abyss, lingers like the smell of stale grease. And every time I find myself working the late-night shift, I can't help but glance at the security monitors, half expecting to see that glitch again, half expecting to see myself staring back, trapped in that infernal loop, alongside the man who never left. The clock ticked past 2:45 a.m. Its monotonous rhythm the only sound in the otherwise deserted drive-through lane. The neon glow of the menu board cast long, distorted shadows that danced in the light breeze. It was another late-night shift, another graveyard slot in the seemingly endless cycle of fast food service. Suddenly, the silence was broken by a faint click from the speaker system. A car, I assumed, had pulled up to the order point. I leaned towards the microphone, the familiar script forming on my lips. "Welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order?" A beat of silence followed, thick with anticipation. Then a voice, barely a whisper, crackled through the speaker. "1 cheeseburger," it rasped, the voice devoid of any inflection, any hint of human warmth. It was an odd hour for a cheeseburger, even by fast food standards, but I brushed it off as just another quirk of the late-night clientele. "1 cheeseburger," I repeated, entering the order into the system. "Will there be anything else?" Silence. I glanced at the monitor. The order for a single cheeseburger remained, frozen on the screen. But something wasn't right. I peered out the window into the night. There was no car. The drive-through lane was empty. My pulse quickened. A knot of unease tightened in my stomach. "Hello?" I called out, my voice betraying a hint of nervousness. "Is anyone there?" Only the hum of the idling engine and the distant chirping of crickets answered me. Then it happened. Right before my eyes, the order on the screen changed. The single-line item, 1 cheeseburger, was gone, replaced by 3 chilling words. "I see you." A wave of icy fear washed over me. I stumbled back from the microphone, my heart pounding in my chest. My eyes darted back to the empty drive-through lane, searching for any sign of movement, any indication that I wasn't alone. Desperate for an explanation, I reviewed the security footage. The grainy footage showed what appeared to be an old, rusted sedan pulling up to the order point. I couldn't make out the driver, their features obscured by the shadows and the poor lighting. Then the car simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was gone, as if it had dissolved into thin air. I recognized the vehicle. It was the same make and model as the one belonging to a former employee, a young woman who had disappeared without a trace 2 years prior. Her disappearance had sent shockwaves through our small town, and the case remained unsolved. The police had suspected foul play, but they never found any concrete evidence, no sign of the missing woman or her car. As I continued to watch the footage, I noticed something even more unsettling. Just before the car vanished, the audio picked up a faint whisper, the same distorted voice I had heard through the speaker, and the words sent a chill down my spine. 1 cheeseburger, it rasped. The very last words spoken by the missing employee before she vanished had been recorded on the drive-through system. 1 cheeseburger, she had said, her voice laced with fear, before the line went dead. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that the two events are connected, that the abandoned car, the ghostly order, the missing employee, are all pieces of a terrifying puzzle. And every time I work the late night shift, every time I hear that faint click from the speaker system, I can't help but wonder, is it just another hungry customer? Or is it something far more sinister, something that never left, forever trapped in a drive-through purgatory, its only desire, one cheeseburger? The open road can be a lonely hunter's ground. A vast expanse of concrete and asphalt punctuated only by the occasional outpost of civilization. These beacons, often shimmering with the golden arches of promise, offer weary travellers a moment of respite. But what happens when these havens harbour a darkness, a chilling secret hidden from the casual observer? Our story takes us to one such establishment, a weathered McDonald's clinging to the edge of a desolate highway. The building itself seemed to sag under the weight of countless journeys, its once vibrant colours now faded and peeling like sunburnt skin. The cashier, a gaunt figure with eyes that seemed to hold the weariness of 1,000 late nights, barely acknowledged the arrival of our narrator. A palpable sense of unease hung in the air, thick and heavy as the grease from 1,000 deep fryers. An unspoken warning whispered on the wind. The need for a moment of privacy drew our narrator, like a moth to a flickering flame, towards the restrooms. The door swung shut with a heavy thud, sealing them within an airless void. The air hung cold and clammy, a stark contrast to the dry heat of the desert outside. Two stalls stood at the far end of the room, their metal doors dented and scarred with the passage of time. But something was amiss, a subtle violation of the expected order. Where there should have been two, a third stall materialized from the shadows, its presence as unwelcome as a viper in a child's playpen. A soft, wet sound, like the rasping breath of a slumbering beast, emanated from within the locked stall. A primal fear, instinctual and immediate, seized our narrator's chest. The urge to flee, to escape the confines of this unsettling space, warred with a morbid curiosity. Mustering a courage they didn't know they possessed, our narrator reached out a trembling hand and knocked. The sound echoed through the small room, swallowed by the oppressive silence that followed. Then, with a slow, agonizing creak, the door swung inwards, revealing nothing. The stall was empty, devoid of any occupant, yet the sense of being watched, of being hunted, intensified. Turning towards the mirror, our narrator sought reassurance in their own reflection, only to recoil in horror. The mirror, reflecting a truth the naked eye could not perceive, revealed a chilling sight. 3 stalls, not 2, stared back at them, and in the reflection of that third stall, a shape began to coalesce. A grotesque mockery of human form, its eyes burning with a cold, malevolent intelligence. Panic seized our narrator. The flimsy barrier between the mundane and the truly horrific had shattered, leaving them exposed and vulnerable. They fled, a primal scream trapped within their throat. The cashier, still lost in their world-weary stupor, barely registered the narrator's frantic escape. The golden arches, once a symbol of comfort and familiarity, now loomed like the jaws of a predator, forever tainted by the encounter. Our narrator sped away into the night, the unsettling events seared into their memory. The bathroom that shouldn't exist, a chilling testament to the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected of places. Even in the most familiar of environments, the unexpected can occur. A frantic mother, her eyes wide with terror, burst through the doors of this bustling McDonald's. Her pleas for help echo through the restaurant, a chilling counterpoint to the cheerful jingles and the sizzle of frying potatoes. Her son, she claims, has vanished. Last seen amidst the brightly coloured tubes and slides of the play area, he seems to have disappeared into thin air. The staff, their smiles now replaced with concern, join in the search, their eyes scanning every nook and cranny. But the child is nowhere to be found. The play area, Normally a cacophony of laughter and squeals, stands eerily silent, its plastic and metal structure taking on an almost sinister air. Hours pass, and the initial panic gives way to a chilling realization. Security footage, reviewed with painstaking care, reveals that the child did indeed enter the play area. The grainy images show him disappearing through the plastic flaps, his small form swallowed by the maze of tunnels and slides. But he is never seen leaving. Days turn into weeks, hope dwindling with each passing hour. Then a glimmer. Another child playing in the same McDonald's reports seeing a boy hiding within the plastic tubes. But his eyes, she claims, were hollow, his gaze unsettlingly empty. Deeply troubled by the events, I decided to leave my job at the McDonald's. The memory of the vanished child and the chilling account of the boy with the empty eyes lingered in my mind like a bad dream. Years passed, and the incident faded into the background of my life. Until one day, a news report, a familiar location, and a chillingly familiar story. Another child gone missing, same McDonald's, same play area. The details were eerily similar, sending a shiver down my spine. The cheerful facade of the fast food restaurant, the aroma of fries and burgers, could no longer mask the unsettling truth. Some places, it seems, hold on to memories, to events, in ways we cannot comprehend. And sometimes those memories resurface, reminding us that even in the most ordinary of places, darkness can lurk. The missing child, forever young, forever lost, becomes a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones. A chilling reminder that some mysteries remain unsolved, some disappearances unexplained. And the McDonald's play area, once a symbol of childhood joy and carefree laughter, takes on a more sinister aspect. New beginnings often come with unspoken rules, whispered warnings passed down from seasoned veterans to fresh-faced newcomers. In this McDonald's, the advice is simple: steer clear of Jerry. An air of mystery surrounds Jerry, a former employee whose presence is still felt within the restaurant's walls. Eager to impress, I initially dismissed the warnings as harmless folklore. But as the late-night shifts stretched into the early hours, I began to notice unusual occurrences. Strange noises emanating from the kitchen, a lingering scent of burnt grease, and a feeling of being watched. One particularly quiet night, as I attended to the seemingly endless task of cleaning the greasy grills, a figure emerged from the shadows. Standing near the hissing deep fryers was a man in an outdated McDonald's uniform. His name tag read Jerry. His skin was pale and waxy, his eyes vacant and distant. My heart pounded in my chest as I attempted to engage Jerry in conversation, but his voice, when he responded, was a low, guttural rasp, barely audible above the hum of the kitchen appliances. Seeking answers, I approached an older co-worker, a grizzled veteran who had seen it all during their time at McDonald's. "What's the deal with Jerry?" I asked, hoping for a rational explanation. The co-worker's face drained of colour. "Jerry died 15 years ago," they whispered, their voice trembling. "A grease fire. They never found his body, just his name tag." Later that night, reviewing the security footage, my blood ran cold. There, clear as day, was the footage of me talking to no one. And in a chilling twist, as I watched in horror, the deep fryers in the background spontaneously ignited. For a fleeting second, a reflection flickered in the greasy surface of the fryer. A pale face, hollow eyes, and a faded McDonald's uniform. Jerry, it seemed, never truly left. The McDonald's sign flickered, casting an eerie glow across the deserted parking lot. The once bustling restaurant stood empty, its plastic booths and brightly coloured decor now taking on a desolate, almost haunted air. My voice, filled with a newfound understanding of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows, echoed through the silence. The next time you're at a fast food joint late at night, take a good look around. Some customers never leave, some orders never end, and sometimes, just sometimes, you're not alone. The background music faded to a soft static sound, followed by a whisper, barely audible, chillingly familiar, "1 cheeseburger."